2, 1. We're live to the mother freaking world. What's up, guys? Oh, yeah. Hello, hello. So, we're starting. This is episode 49.
What's that?
49 is what we're on right now. Show number 49.
We're halfway to a century.
Damn, dude, we're doing something right.
That is crazy.
So we're back. Unlighten Me 49. You can join us live on YouTube / Jason C. Powell. We're live there, but we're gonna run this for a little bit in the beginning and kind of get in there. But dude,
what's up, man? I feel like I haven't been here in like 2 months.
That's what it felt like. I was going back things, and I was like, when was the last time? I was like, it was last week.
It's just been a week.
Last week with Ronnie.
Yeah, we had Ronnie up here with the tryout.
Yeah.
It's been I was thinking about that today because you've done a couple podcasts while I've been gone.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it's only been a week.
It's been a week.
Lots happened in the last week.
I know. So what's up, dude? Vegas Masters Jiu-Jitsu.
Masters Worlds. I'm still recovering.
I got to get this right because I keep trying to post and tag. Is it Master Worlds or is it Worlds Masters?
It's a little confusing, right? Because you would think Worlds Masters. It's Masters Worlds Jiu-Jitsu, IBJJF Jiu-Jitsu Championship.
Okay.
So basically, it's old guy World Championship.
Oh, hold on. Now let's classify how do they classify old guy?
30 and up.
See, 30. Some guys hit their prime like 34,
Most guys
35.
hit their prime in the early 30s. That's why it's very deceptive when they say Masters World, because a lot of these guys who are 30 plus are still destroying everybody in the ranks below them. In fact, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Are still. You got a couple of them that we had guys there that just won 80 cc's a couple years ago, which is the tournament of all tournaments.
I know that's the of the
Nogi, but it's still the tournament of all tournaments. And I was watching some guys go at it, and I was like, and it's always like that. You see the big names. There were 2 mats down from where I was competing with Cyborg Abreu, and who just was it 2013 or 2015? I think it was 2013, maybe 2015. Destroyed everybody in 80 cc's.
Yeah, one of those two. I was going to say 15,
recently, and he's putting in work, winning another world championship, and so it's the best in the world. It's no doubt, no question, the best in the world are all there competing.
Yeah. And there are older guys too. I mean, they're older.
It's all the way up. You got got guys up into their 60s competing.
Yeah, and that's so like when they're like Masters, I was like, hey.
Well, they put the age classes in there, but
So anything over 30.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this luck of your draw in the first round on these damn tournaments.
Yeah, no, the guy's good. Like Angel. So I had looked him up a little bit. I told you I looked this guy up. I never do it, which it was good that I did. I knew kind of what to expect a little bit. He actually caught me off guard. I didn't expect him to come at me the way he did. But I think the last name, it's either Ramos or Ramirez. I'm going to get it right. I just friended him up on Instagram, actually.
So he's probably watching.
Yeah, well, I know. So what was funny was, as I posted the bracket and who I was fighting and what mat I was on and all that stuff on my Instagram page and Facebook, and immediately had a couple of people hit me up. They knew him. He's one of the guys that I'm friends with on Instagram. Mm-hmm. He's his professor. And he was hitting me up, says, hey, that's my professor. I can't wait to see you guys fight. Should be a good fight. Someone else was like, hey, I know him. Man, good luck. I think it's going to be a great fight. Sat together. We actually kind of matched up well. It was actually a good matchup.
Well, which the score is indicative of that.
The lack of score.
Yeah. Well, but
we didn't. Nobody scored.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was actually it was a pretty good matchup, and it was fun. It was intense. It was my first black belt competition, and but it wasn't anything I was not used to. Trust me, when I have Professor Brian, putting it on me every now and again, nothing is as bad as that. Very few things are as bad as that. Yeah. So pretty much anybody else I face, they're not going to put that kind of pressure on me that he can. So if I can execute occasionally against that, then I can handle most other.
Yeah.
I can just stay in the game with most other guys.
Brian outweighs you.
He's
25 pounds?
Yeah, 25, 30 pounds. Yeah. Well, when I'm competing versus when he's competing, it's probably more like 40 because the way I cut down. Yeah, but like on average, it's about 30-pound difference. Yeah. So it feels like about 100-pound difference to me. because Brian's a very strong guy.
When you know how to use your weight and leverages, every pound.
He's built he's built for jiu-jitsu. He's built for fighting, really.
Yeah.
He's got these man mitts, you know, and they're like, when they grab you, you're not breaking it.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, you know. And you're not breaking his hand either. You're not. No. It's one of those things. He's got one of those. I think he's an unusual human being. There's a few of them.
Some people are built for it. I mean, seriously. I mean, that's.
Yeah, I don't. No one else. Yeah. Very few people I've ever experienced that with. He's one of the few. But he's. So when I prep with him and I train with him, then I feel comfortable against just about anybody. Yeah. So I'm not that part I wasn't worried about. Actually, I wasn't really worried about anything. Just making weight. You know, the day I've had to lose a couple pounds.
Yeah.
Well, and no, I was actually 2 pounds under by the time I weighed in. But
okay.
It's not hard. Like at this point in my career, I know, and even if I'm a couple pounds over going into the day, I know I'll be a couple pounds under within an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then I can eat and hydrate and all that stuff before I can weigh in, and I got about 30 minutes there to rehydrate and stuff before they call me to the mat. So there's I get that little give, and I start eating bananas so I don't cramp up.
That's the big
and Gatorade, get those electrolytes back in me. Hopefully my body will start getting those in there before I fight, and usually it works. I've gotten better at this point after doing it for this long.
Well, and this is something that's different with a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments as opposed to other combat arts. Is you weigh in before you go on the mat.
Exactly.
Which I like that. Now, some states in UFC, you're only allowed to go a certain amount of pounds over your weigh-in weight anyway. And I forget what that is. I think it's 12 pounds or something like that.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Which is a lot. Yeah. But those guys are. Yeah. I mean, guys will drop 20, 25 pounds.
Yeah, and they'll put it back on the next day with hydrating and. Well, I don't even think the UFC lets them. They don't let them do the
IV
IVs anymore.
I don't think they
used
to.
Right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
as part of the new USADA rules.
Yeah,
yeah. So they can't. It's which has changed things, right? Because that being allowed to completely dehydrate yourself before a weigh-in, you lose a lot of water weight. Like you can lose a ton of weight with water, and then you can just put it right back in your system, and within a few hours, your body's circulating it, and it's in your body again. And that could be 10, 12 pounds by itself, right?
We got to figure, guys, that full dehydration on some NFL games will IV at halftime.
Yeah.
Which they only have 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And they're fine.
Yeah. So that says a lot about what you can do with the body.
Quick that way.
Yeah. Well, the thing about losing weight and cutting weight is it's funny. It's okay. I think it's okay. We've kind of talked about it before. Yeah. It's okay for a certain amount of weight to go ahead and cut. It's pretty safe. But there comes to that point where, like, these guys, you've seen them on stage, and like you see them like near death. Like you see the complete. They look like skeletons. They're almost
fully gone.
Because that's all the water is gone. All that surface water in their body is completely gone. They're just down to bare minimum.
What do you think possesses fighters to go that far with it?
They want the size advantage. It makes a difference. Oh, it makes it makes a difference. Like I fought at different weight classes. Basically like 2, right? Well, 3. I fought at 3. Yeah. I fought at the weight class below the one I'm at now, lightweight, and then I fought at this one most of the time. And then I fought when I don't want to feel like messing around with weight or doing anything dieting. I'll fight at the one above it, right? Yeah. And there's a significant difference. Like that's why I'm like, if someone asked me the other day, why don't you just fight at what you're at right now? And I'm like. Because the way I'm built is weird, number one. Yeah. I'm built like a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
And when I go against most guys, so if I'm walking around a 170 to 175, which is actually heavy for me, but I've been doing that more lately, like the last year or so, and I'm about to fix that. But at that weight, the guys that are cutting down there are around close to 200, and they're cutting down below, I think they get down, they're like 195, right? Yeah. Close to 200, so they'll cut down to 186 to make that weight. Well, now I'm fighting someone nearly not quite as big as Brian, but if someone wants to cut down like that, like Brian can't quite cut. He could,
that's
but
it's
a lot. But I fought guys that size difference, and no, I don't want to. Like I'll do that in open class, but I don't want to. Like I want to fight someone my size, and so when I fight at lightweight, which is well within my weight class. I'm still have fat in my body and stuff to lose if I want to. I can fight lower weight, but at least I'm fighting people that I'm looking eye to eye with. Yeah. You know, it makes a difference.
That's the big difference to me. What I've noticed, and this goes back 25, 30 years. You know, going way back, right? The weight, the biggest difference in weight is height. So obviously, you can manage your weight, and it's safer, and you can perform at a higher level if you don't make the big cuts, right? Big weight cuts. Right. But if you're gonna put yourself into a class where you're fighting everybody that's 6 to 8 inches taller than you, okay, well then now that's ridiculous.
Well, it's significant. Yeah. It changes what I'm capable of doing. Yeah. On someone that much different size difference, it changes how I perform. Yeah. And it changes what techniques you can even perform. It changes how defensive you have to be versus offensive.
Especially in gi.
Huge difference.
In no gi, there's ways to get around that.
There's some differences. Yeah. There's wiggle room because of you're not using clothing. Right. But yeah, it's a big difference. Like that's why I've said I'm especially at black belt level. There's no way I'm competing against. I mean, I say no way. I prefer to go ahead and just cut the weight. It's not that big a deal. It takes a little effort, but it's worth it.
But I mean, I've seen guys 6'2" trying to get under 150.
Oh, that's the extreme example.
Get out. And it's not often, but I see that.
Yeah,
I'm like,
but you see it.
Can you stop that?
Man. Well, like if you watch did you watch Fight Night?
Yeah,
Friday?
I did.
That's a good example right there. See what happens too, right?
That dude screamed and yelled for a freaking headliner. He got it and got knocked the fuck out.
That was a bad matchup. You know what? Because we were in Vegas. Yeah. We watched the fight in the hotel room, and I told Lisa, I said, he's going to get knocked out. I said, this is a bad matchup for him. This is a bad matchup because he's really not as good as he thinks he is. No. And, clearly. Chris Gagey he's an animal. Yeah. He's good. He will really, knock you the fuck. I mean, he's an animal. Yeah. And I wasn't shocked. I mean, it was a brutal knockout. That was a brutal knockout.
I was watching. I was just like, that shit. He's might be done.
That was yes. I said he may not come back from that.
Yeah, I was like, holy
fighting.
Crap.
Like his next fights may be shit. He may be done. Like he may be just completely gunshot.
He came in as the favorite.
How?
It was like a 115, 105 or 115 favorite. I mean, it wasn't like it was a ton.
I think it's bettors. I think it's people coming in and they're seeing the size difference and they're going, oh. And he's got some bullshit, but was he a Gold Gloves boxer or something?
He was something, but he did win 4 fights in a year. Mm-hmm. 2 of those were short notice.
I was actually surprised.
Yeah, I mean, based on records and what he did in a year. Yeah, I think he deserved that type of a shot.
Yeah, it's a bad matchup.
A horrible matchup, and it was. I was like you. I was like, he's gonna get knocked out. I didn't think it'd be in first round.
I didn't know when. I just thought there's no way. I didn't think I stood a chance against Gagey. He's an animal. That kid's an animal.
And I wish I could show that shit. The first exchange they had, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be ugly." Yeah. The way he was afraid.
Yeah. Well, he couldn't
pop in. He was just everything was back, and that was
Gagey wanted him. You can see he wanted to finish him when he caught him too. That was just picture perfect.
Oh yeah.
Just slamming him, but that was good. But that shows. Some guys will try to cut that for the size because you can see the size difference. And if he was more agile and more skilled, it could be a real problem for someone like Gagey. But his skill level's not at Gagey's level. So, but no, my opponent was awesome. He actually so we had 48 people in our division, which is a lot.
That's a big division.
We were surprised. Everybody was talking this year about how many people. And this was pretty much exclusive to black belts. How many black belts were competing this year? There was a lot of black belts. I was shocked. I've never had that many people in the division before. I'm going in. Physically, I had done enough conditioning. My conditioning was good. Yeah. I wasn't worried about my conditioning. But I still was thinking, okay, that's like 6 fights to the finals, right? So I'm like, all right, so I need to pace myself. And I'm assuming that everybody's thinking the same thing because we're like, all right, if we want to get there, we need to time things right. Yeah. Time your first fight right. You need to pace. So you want to win in a what's the word I'm looking for? Physically, not economic, but efficient way. Yeah. You want to be as efficient as possible. Right. Don't want to blow your gas tank in the first round or the first match. First round. Yeah. And so anyway. So we went in, and I shook hands, and he immediately came at me fast.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit. So I tried to get a little bit of space to try to get some space to see if we can measure things out a little bit. He wasn't having it. He cut me off at the edge of the mat, and I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah,
it was within seconds. So I just immediately, and my game is I play a lot of half guard. Like that's one of my go-to spots, my safe places, right?
Yeah.
I can do a lot of things, but I really like half guard. It's just something I've gotten real comfortable and good at. And so I told Professor Brian, I told Brian, I said, look, we were talking the day, earlier in the week about our game plans. I said, I'm going to play half guard. I was like, I'm comfortable. I'm efficient there. It's a big division. I can really conserve a lot of energy in half guard and I usually can catch my sweeps. If I can time it right, boom, I'll be in great, which that was my goal.
Yeah.
To catch the half guard. And if I see a sweep early, I'll take it. Otherwise, I'm going to cook the guy, let him waste a lot of energy trying to pass my half guard. And then when he kind of gets wore out or gets frustrated, makes a mistake, I'll catch my sweep, get on top.
Yeah.
And if a finish presents itself, awesome. If not, I'll take the points and move on to the next round.
Yeah.
That was my game plan. And I didn't expect him to jump into it so quick, but he came at me pretty fast. I was like, all right, I better take it now before he gets a pass. So boom, I hit my half guard, and he was very technically solid, and he actually blocked off a lot of my sweep attempts very well. And the trick on some of the half guard I was doing is getting underneath the guy. He was doing a good job using his knee to cut me off and not let me get underneath him. I did a couple times get underneath him, and I did right before a reset, and I kind of lost it on the reset. And there was us. I'd like to do a electric chair out of there, and I actually was watching part of the video. I haven't seen the whole thing yet. I watched like a minute of it.
Yeah.
And I saw my feet, and I remember my feet feeling for it and kind of feeling that I could catch it. Like he kind of gave me his foot without realizing it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't take it. Like I looked back, like why didn't I lock it down right there?
Oh yeah.
And start working for the electric chair because it's a really good sweep.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I didn't do it. I can't remember what happened in my mind that I decided not to go for it. There must have been something else he was doing that made me not feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because if you miss it, then you can give him a chance to pass.
Create a bad situation.
Yeah. So maybe that's what happened. I don't remember. But I remember seeing my feet. I'm like, oh, my God. I just push it and lock it in. I'm right there. So, but it was good. He was putting in a lot of work trying to pass, which was good. I was happy to hear him putting in work.
Yeah.
I could feel physically he wasn't stronger than me. Because he tried to muscle it a couple times to get the pass.
Okay.
And I could block that. Like even though I was from cutting, I wasn't my normal self, but he wasn't gonna out muscle me.
Yeah.
Like I could tell for that. But his technique was very good, as you should expect. And so he was working real hard to pass, and which was I was glad for that, but I just couldn't catch the sweep at the end when I was really like I saw 1 minute left. I was like, okay, now I need to make a move. Man, I just could not quite get where I needed to get, and I had like 10 seconds left. I remember Brian was like, so this is my option.
Yeah.
I can sit where I'm at. 0-0 will stay 0-0. It'll be a ref's decision. Typically what refs do, if there's a guy on top, normally they'll go with the guy that's on top. They'll say he's putting more pressure, which I think is unfair because you're not making an allowance for people's different games, right? But I got to recognize that. Well, if I sit here, there's a good chance I'm going to lose a ref's decision. So I went ahead and opened my guard up and went to get to my knees and try to make something happen off of that. And I kind of got to my knees from the way I remember it. And I needed more time to try to reach over and try to drive through him. But we ran out of time. So we both kind of stopped right there at his halfway point. Nobody scored a point. They gave him an advantage at that point, which is the same as a ref's decision. Yeah. Because what they're saying is it just takes him having to make a ref's decision out of the play. They're saying he was pressuring for a pass and nearly got a pass, which wasn't true. It's because I opened my guard that gave him an advantage. Yeah. But I chose to open my guard in order to try to make something happen.
In their defense, that's hard to judge.
Oh, I'm not complaining about the decision. I understand it 100%. I understand it 100%, and I don't disagree with it. Yeah. It's just it went the way it went. It was still a good fight. I told look, if I lose, I just want to make sure that the guy remembers the fight. It was a hard fight, and I didn't give him nothing.
He didn't submit you. There were no points.
So
I mean, what else do you know?
Look, I performed as well as I could.
Yeah.
I'm sure he had opportunities in there that he saw that, he won. But if he had lost the ref's decision, or if I'd gotten an advantage in there and won, I'm sure he would have thought back to a couple opportunities. Or why didn't I do this other thing I know how to do that may have cleared it?
Do you know how long he's been a black belt?
Well, a while. I mean, I don't know how long, but I know I looked up. He had videos from a couple years ago competing at IBJJF pro events and stuff. A little while. He owns his own academy. And stuff. So it's longer than me. I don't know how long he's trained, but he was very good.
And not that is definitive of anything, but I would say this: if I knew you were a new black belt, I would have basically charged you.
Oh, he knew I was a new black belt because there's people that knew me that knew. I'm sure
so that worked.
He's as a professor. Yeah. I mean, I know if I knew someone that Brian was fighting, and even though I'm friends with him, I would tell them. I said, "Hey, Brian, so this guy's black belt."
Yeah.
And he did. I was shocked. I've never been charged in a 10 years or 10 years of competing. Never had that happen. It's always a little bit of a feel out, get your grips, or try to shoot in. Man, this guy came at me like a bull. And actually, Brian told me afterwards, he goes, I could see on his face he was going to charge you. Like I could tell, I could see it. I could see that he was going to come at you.
There's not really much you can do at that point. He could yell, but you're toast,
No, it's okay, man. It was no worries.
I'm going to get this. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Jump over YouTube / Jason C. Powell, and we will be there. I think that works. I'm going to pull this down. Looks just in case the notifications come in. Did you notice what I did with my little microphone?
No. Oh, where is it?
I was
slick.
like,
That's smart.
See, so you don't have to have the.
I like that. It takes that little stuff out of the way.
Fucking spider thing or whatever that little jigger is.
It's a little bit more aesthetic.
It's clean.
Yeah,
so
cleaner.
I can put other bullshit on the table.
So what you been doing? What happened this whole last weekend? You've been busy.
Dude, busy.
Yeah.
So I'm playing the social media game. I'm trying to figure this whole friggin' thing out for promotions without having to buy it all.
Right.
Because that frustrates the shit out of me that it's pay to play for Google and YouTube and all that. It's really frustrating for me. But I know that's part of it. So when I started doing the little clips.
Yeah, I like those.
I like those. Put it together, do the things. It sold a few shirts and sold,
Yeah,
I mean, it seems to be good.
Yeah.
I don't have a fucking clue.
Oh, just keep playing with it.
I will see. Help, please.
Yeah, any suggestions?
I don't know. That was the deal. Tech question for people doing their podcast. I had no idea. So we use OBS. Some people who do the broadcasting stuff will know what OBS means. Open source software. I had no idea this was the deal. I was getting complaints on the volume of the show, right? And I'm like, I'm maxing the switcher out. I'm maxing everything out, all this kind of stuff to the point that I'm getting like reverb. I'm like, I can't make the fucking thing any louder. I'm like, what is this stuff? Testing it last night with Steph, right? So she's mad. It's 11 o'clock at night. We're testing fucking audio, so she's super happy with me, right?
Right.
I had no idea. So anybody doing this, the volume increase that goes to my headphones has nothing to do with any broadcaster input or output or anything. But if I turn the volume up on my headphones, the volume on YouTube is fine.
There we go.
Son of a bitch. That's like, hey, my foot itches, so let me call somebody to drink water. And when they take a drink of water, my foot doesn't itch anymore.
That's weird.
What the shit? But it works. So
hey, if it works.
That's a stupid tech thing that.
No, it's cool.
It's one of those.
Well, I know. Yeah. I actually had a couple people say sometimes the volume was a little bit lacking some places.
Yeah, and I'm like.
So.
And it was blowing my mind because it was great for a little while, and then it wasn't. And I'm like, and now looking back, the only thing I ever did was turn that down because I'm blasting it through my headphones.
Well, now we know.
Dumb,
now we know.
Dumb. Yeah, so I want to pull my hair out for that. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
With the freaking thing. Okay, football season's here.
Yes.
Baseball season's approaching playoffs. There's all the basketball. I think it's as settled as it can be as far as the landscape of who's playing where and all this kind of business. I watched Shapiro's deal. I don't know what I'm allowed to say now. So I know I can say his deal, but he had the guest on who's a sports writer.
That was the last Sunday?
Last Sunday.
I haven't seen that one. I haven't listened to it yet.
Super interesting and sparked my brain, right? Because he's talking about, he does a lot of controversial things with the kneeling and athletes talking about politics and ESPN covering politics and then the whole stuff with Kurt Schilling being fired, but then not the other people who had an opposing view and all. So there's those types of deals that are surrounding him where he's created a lot of controversy. And he was banned from CNN because he said he's all for the First Amendment and boobs.
Who isn't?
And I don't know what can I say his name?
I see why not.
Okay, well I'll pull it up here because I don't want to screw it up.
Pretty sure we can.
But so it sparked a lot in my brain. But
Right.
what he was talking about that was really interesting to me was how the market share of a lot of these major sports is falling for whatever reason. Right now he has his ideas, if that makes sense. But I'm gonna pull this up. So I'm sorry, guys. There's a little bit of hesitation in talk.
Market share. So when you say market share, is he talking about the income they're bringing in?
Yes. Because I was going to call him Travis Clay. It's Clay Travis.
Okay.
Okay, so he's a sports writer. He's got whatever, 1 million or so followers on the media, the platforms and all this stuff, and he's been around for a while. Very intelligent with how he goes about it, very logical with how he goes about it, agree with him or disagree. He's got good information. So he was saying how basically football has reached its pinnacle. The bubble of football is it. This is the greatest it's going to be. The question, paraphrased from Ben, was basically is if you had $100 to buy a franchise in any one of the sports, what sport would you invest in? And he was basically like, not football, not baseball, not basketball, not hockey. It would be a fringe sport like the esports, like lacrosse, whatever. Take all the fringe ones, even possibly USA Soccer. Like he was like, I'm not sure about that one yet because the international market is so big. But he was talking about how it's declining, and then his reasons of why he thinks it's declining. And he was like, football is no longer can be football because of all the rules. And I'm going to start with football. We'll dive into it. So he's saying basically, in a lot of paraphrasing, which I agree with, is now like the new helmet rule. You can't lower your helmet and all these things. He's like, the game is just getting longer and longer and longer and longer. You have a 60-minute game that takes 3.5 hours. So now he's like, unless they find a way to speed the game up, it's gone. It's basically going to just continue on the decline until whatever it is that passes it. And it's just going to just go. Because he was like, you do a play. Okay, you take a snap. You go to a huddle. You do this. Okay, you got your 1st and 10, beginning of the game. You go into a huddle. Okay, boring as shit. You jog up to the line. You hand off for a quick dive. Your fullback gets a quick dive. No yardage gain. What do? You get back in the fucking huddle. So you had a couple seconds of action. Now the clock is still ticking, right? So time is passing, but there's no action. Then the quarterback snaps back at 2nd and 9. He goes for a pass that's incomplete. What do? Huddle. You're like, I've had 3 minutes of watching you jackasses stand in a huddle and get to the line, right? And get back from after the play. And I've only seen 6 to 8 seconds of playtime of action. So he was like, that's horrible. Then he was like, all the penalties and all these things. And then the refs have to converge every time that there's a helmet to helmet or a pass interference or a hold, defensive holding or this. So he's just like, it's done. People are just not going to watch anymore because the trend of our society is quick, go, go, go.
True.
And he says, now basketball has that quick, go, go. But he's like, it's going to shit because you've only got legitimately 3 or 4 teams that can win. So it's like, why are you, if you love the Knicks, why are you really going to invest a lot of time, energy, money into jerseys and stuff like this when you know your team has 0 chance of winning? Even if they make the playoffs, you're like, you're done. And he's like, conversely, that's the saving grace of baseball, hockey, and football, is you can get in on a tiebreaker and still win the championship, but doesn't exist in basketball. So he's like, that's the major downfall in basketball is because of that deal. He was like, baseball, it's just too fucking long. 160-something games.
162?
162, 163. Because basketball is either 82 or 83, and then they're 162 or 163 or whatever.
A lot of games.
Yeah, a lot of games. A lot.
It's a long season.
And you're just like, oh, shit. And then hockey is just too niche. People are going to say that's horrible. And then he actually threw NASCAR in there I said NASCAR is basically you can't pay people to watch.
Yeah, it's
as a whole.
I think NASCAR's been done.
Yeah,
for a little while.
He
It had
said
a little heyday
about
for a
6
minute.
years. Yeah,
I never understood why it got so popular for a minute because it's boring.
honestly, I think when Dana Patrick started driving,
I guess
that was about when that Flash was.
Like I lived in Alabama for a minute when I was a kid, and it was very popular in Alabama.
Yeah.
And I remember it was on TV all the time, and it was boring. And I was like, why am I? Even as a kid, I'm like, why are we watching this? I don't know NASCAR. I don't know. Football is the interesting one, right? Because it's the big gorilla.
Yeah,
it has been for a while, but football ratings have been on the decline. Now you could say last year was due to political issues, the Trump election, the kneeling, a lot of the cultural warfare that's existing in our country seeping into football. Yeah, and I think that definitely played a part.
It played some percentage. Who knows how much,
right?
But something, yes, yeah, something.
So this year we'll find out.
Yeah, because
there's no election going on. So the election, they say every time there's an election, viewership's down across the board on everything. So there's no election going on. So we'll find out this year. I don't know. I hear a lot of people say they're not going to watch because they're very frustrated about how politics has seeped into football. I haven't heard anybody talk about it's too long yet. I don't necessarily feel like a football game's too long. And I know when we break it down, like, man, they just run a play and run back into a huddle. It sounds terrible, but I don't know. I still love watching.
Yeah.
So it's not bothering me at all. But I don't know. I do think football has peaked. I was thinking about this because you kind of mentioned it to me earlier. Yeah. And I do think football's peaked. I think it hit its zenith. And I don't know if it's because of the rules. I don't think the rules are affecting it too much. I do think some of these rules are silly. I think that the helmet rule is, and there's been some players already complaining about it. Yeah, it's unnecessary. I think there's some type of knee jerk reaction to some play. I don't know what play or what.
Well, the big one was, I'm gonna get killed. The Pittsburgh Steeler that went out last year.
Yeah,
starts with an S. Oh,
so it was based on that. It was based on that.
A lot of it was based on that one.
Okay,
because it was a spearing.
Again,
and all
it's like it's like an overreaction.
Yeah.
It's like a knee-jerk reaction, and which is strange to me because you have professionals that are all football players, are all involved in football for their whole lives, making some of these decisions, and you would expect that not to happen.
Right.
Right. So I don't know. I think this year we'll see football, even if football is on the decline. I think it's going to be a very long, slow decline. I don't think we'll see it.
Oh no, yeah, please.
It's going to be a long time for something eclipses it. But yeah, I agree that football's peaked. I think baseball peaked years ago.
I think
maybe the steroid era is when it peaked.
Yeah,
and it's been on the decline for a while. It's still, you watch it during the playoffs.
You get a little stuff, honestly, because of Trout and Harper. You get a little bit of a little bit of a rise when they're on, or they're playing, or they're doing what they do.
Because they're so great.
But
baseball's been, no one sits down and watches the whole baseball game.
No, I can't.
It's way too long. It's too slow.
I tell you this though. The Little League World Series was on, right?
Yeah.
So South Korea made it to the final.
Yeah,
so we're watching all those, right? I can watch that. Yeah. It's 6 innings. It goes quick.
Yeah. Well, that's probably good. I can't watch it. I can't watch kids play baseball.
Yeah. Dude,
it's
you
boring
would be
to me.
shocked.
It's boring to me.
Some of the plays these kids are making.
I know they're good. I know there's some good moments, but honestly, I do like baseball, but it's hard to watch a whole game.
Now, really I'm not gonna lie. I didn't watch. I watched a little bit of when Japan played, but basically the South Korea games are the only ones I watched.
Yeah.
And then they only lost in the championship, so they only played 4 games or whatever. Yeah. So it wasn't like I was.
Baseball, man. It's like watching paint dry.
Yeah.
It really unless it's the playoffs. Then it gets exciting because every play is so crucial. So then it's kind of exciting. But till the playoffs start. And if your team's not in the playoffs, which most teams in baseball don't make it to the playoffs, then it's like, unless there's something really interesting, I'm not really watching it that much. Yeah. It's hard.
Baseball's tough. And then baseball, you go through 160-something games, and then both sides have a 1-game play-in.
Yeah, well, because there's always teams that are tied to get into it.
How do you have a tie? After 162 games.
It happens. These teams are too close.
There's got to be a tiebreaker in there somewhere.
I don't know. I don't know how they break it down all the way, but they do have tiebreakers, but without looking at it, I won't know it off the top of my head. But baseball and then basketball has been on the decline for a while too.
Yeah.
And it's the same problem. The same teams are always. The problem with basketball, it's such a star-driven sport, which you would think is counterintuitive. But the problem is there's only 3 or 4 incredible players. And unless you have one of those 3 or 4 incredible players, or you have a team with at least 3 legitimate all-stars, you have zero chance.
You have no chance. I feel comfortable saying this. If you take East and West, I would say there's 8 to 10 of players of that caliber on each side. So a maximum of 20 in the league, and then you get bundles of them. Like you got 3 in Golden State,
exactly,
and you're just like, how that now you're gonna have arguably 3 in Houston, and then you had. What
are you talking about with Carmelo?
Yeah,
is he still counting?
I don't know, man. It's debatable.
That's a separate topic, but I don't even think he fits. But
I think he's a poison and probably will disaster.
It might be bad. It might be. I'm not disagreeing with you.
But whatever, they could click and it's all great, and they're turds together and they go and win.
It depends on his mentality.
Yeah.
If he comes in with the mentality he's had at these other teams,
toast.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
But if he comes in accepting his role as a number 3 guy,
then they'll win.
Then it might fit. But and you have 2 strong veterans. Well, I don't know how strong a veteran Harden is, but CP3 is very strong.
Yeah.
And he may be able to keep it together.
If he's healthy, they got it. They got a good shot. Real good shot.
One hamstring away from being
seriously, But I mean, Boston's way better and all that. Anyway, but
Boston's
really is really when you break it down, is it's almost like you say Boston, Houston, Golden State.
Who else?
Is
there anybody else involved?
Really no.
I feel like we're missing.
No, who?
I can't.
The Nets imploded. We thought they were something they weren't.
No.
Toronto implodes every playoff.
East Coast, I don't even count teams on the East Coast.
East is done.
You've got, I mean, the Spurs are down. They're on the way down. They're on the way out.
Yeah,
you're right. That's it. And actually, I remember when I was talking to my best friend Dream in the locker room at Lifetime.
Shit.
What? Why are you laughing?
Your boy Dream.
Dream. Hakeem Olajuwon, for those who are uninitiated. The Dream and I were talking in the locker room at Lifetime, and he said that Golden State Houston was the finals.
Yes.
And I agreed with him 100%. And if you watched, of course, what happened, then it made perfect sense. He was 100% right. But, you're right. It's kind of 3 teams.
Yeah. That makes it tough, man.
And but the good thing, and at least LeBron went to the Lakers. So you don't have him joining a stash of all-stars.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he does with the Lakers.
They still could come in and, I'll just say this. I think I'm not a big LeBron fan for a whole loads of reasons.
Right.
But he is clearly, by himself, can get a team to the playoffs.
No question. He can get it by himself. Now, I don't think he can do it in the Western Conference. But by himself, he can get a team to the finals.
In the East, yeah.
But not in the Western. I don't think he can do it. He can't beat the Rockets by himself, and he can't beat Golden State by himself.
No.
That's where he's gonna run into a wall there.
Yeah.
But will not shock me if Lakers are the number 3 seed going into the playoffs.
Yeah. They could squeak into the right spot to get to the Western Conference Finals.
Oh yeah, it would not shock me. They could.
Yeah.
They could. It could happen.
It's all depends on seeding. And
LeBron is that good.
He really is.
He's that good. He's not Michael Jordan good, which my son finally conceded to me not too long ago. He finally conceded Michael Jordan's that LeBron is no Michael Jordan.
I agree 100%.
And I was like, yes, you understand now.
100%. Yeah.
You understand.
Yeah.
But NBA again. Here's the thing about the NBA. I watch sporadically during the season because I love the Rockets. I really I'm a lifelong fan, and especially when they're good, you want to see when they're good what they're looking like. But I rarely sit down and watch a ton of games. I don't have time.
Hard. Yeah.
I'm waiting for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because that's when it gets. And
I always say this: the year they had the strike, and it was I want to say it was right about 50 games.
Mm-hmm.
I watched my ass off that season. And San Antonio won that year. That was the year
Spurs won. Yeah, everybody put a hashtag by it, or not an asterisk.
An asterisk by it because it was a short season. But that was awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was a great season.
I was just like, there was no resting anybody. There was no taking a game off. There was none of that kind of. And I'm just like, that's what we need.
Well, I think, but then they lose money. They're trying to squeeze every penny they can out of these guys. That's like with the NFL trying to extend to like 16 games or 7. No, that's 18
18
games.
yeah.
They were 16 now. At 18 games, and I think there's even talk of 20 because of the preseason. And you're like, guys, these guys are barely surviving 16 games.
No
Not
shit.
and the ones who go into the playoffs.
Okay, so I gotta jump this. Preseason.
Yeah.
NFL preseason.
Yes.
Okay. I can't think of any reason for there to be an NFL preseason. And I have played this in my head for years. I've deeply studied it for at least 4 or 5 years, like really dug in and got opinions and looked at the articles and researched the shit out of it. For at least 4 years, I'll say 5. But longer than that, I'm like, there is no reason. I can't think of any reason for there to be a preseason.
No, it makes no sense. You have no need. What other? Name me another football league where there's a preseason. Did they do it in college?
No.
No. Did they do it in high school?
No.
No. Why? It's unnecessary.
Right.
That's what practices and scrimmages are for. They do a preseason with scrimmages with other teams.
Right.
Before they even go to preseason. Right. So you get a chance to hit with different people, different personnel.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no need for a preseason. That's all that is another way to squeeze. Because you know what? Those prices for those tickets are basically the same price.
They're pretty close.
Pretty damn close. Because I thought about going. I thought, well, I'll go to a preseason game. That'd be a little cheaper. Hell no. You're still paying a ton.
Yeah.
Ridiculous amount
of money. So is it just a money grab?
I think so.
Because I'm thinking this. Eliminate the preseason. Add one game to the regular season. Right?
The only thing I guess I see
and
is
take away one of the buys. I don't know how that works.
Oh, the weekly buys?
No.
They get one. They get one a season.
In the playoffs.
Oh, in the playoffs.
Like no buys in the playoffs.
Usually it's 2, right? The first and second seed.
First and second seed get a buy. Take those buys away.
The only possible reason I can see for the preseason is to get in-game evaluations of players you're considering keeping. But I don't see how that value measures out to what you're risking.
Yeah.
How many players get hurt in the preseason?
We had. Oh, what was the game? Crap, it's gonna come into my head. This was one of the first games of the week 3 of the preseason. One team had 5 injuries and the other one had 3.
That's crazy. Over a preseason game.
Preseason, that meant nothing.
And now these guys.
Like, Nick Foles almost had his shoulder ripped off in the second.
The scariest one is when the quarterbacks are in there.
Yeah.
Because quarterbacks get hurt, and they're so vulnerable. It's so easy to get hurt, and then you got guys flying around.
You guys trying to make a spot.
Yeah.
So they're trying to. I want to light this jackass up. I want to get to that quarterback.
I would never play my starting quarterback. No. I would never play him in a preseason.
No.
I mean, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. If he's rusty the first half of the first game, I'm okay with that.
We're good with that.
We'll run the ball a lot.
But you get so many practices because it's like usually with these preseasons, they're with them 3 or 4 days of practice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with other teams, so still do that.
You don't have to have the games.
Still go. Oh, it just.
I think it's a money grab for sure. How long have they even had preseason? I wonder when preseason started.
There's
no way it was been around like.
It was in the 70s.
Oh, that long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because there was one of the articles I read was some guys bitching about it it was a 78 article.
Right.
And somebody was bitching about it. So.
Yeah, I bet it was a money grab back then. It's a way to we can squeeze some more dollars out. We'll let people pay to watch a scrimmage, and it turned into I bet you some shit like that.
It probably had to be that.
Yeah. Some genius. Well,
you're like,
it's there now. It ain't going anywhere because if they're making money off of it, it ain't going anywhere. If we know one thing about the NFL, they are all about the almighty dollar.
Yes.
So
how do you think they can save it? NFL. Take NFL. How do you think the NFL can pull it back?
I don't know. I really don't know because now there's so many sports available for people to watch that there's more competition now for sports viewership than ever before. Like there used to be really in hockey's I don't even like to say the big 4.
Hockey's regional.
It's like 3 and 3A because or not even 3A. It's like 3 and then a distant 4 because it's very regional.
Yeah.
Unless you're in the north or whatever. You're not really watching hockey. I mean, truthfully, you're not.
You're not,
but everybody's watching football, right? Everybody, baseball, football, basketball. Those are teams in all over the area, all over the parts of the country, including Canada.
Yeah.
I think that, man.
So what do you think about this? And we're just talking just football right now.
Mm-hmm.
if they shorten the play clock 5 seconds?
I wonder. Well, yeah, I think that would definitely help. They can get their plays in within 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I know a lot happens in between when a ball gets killed, and then they got to reorganize, get the play in, get set up, and go.
Yeah.
But I think for sure teams would adjust.
Yeah.
It would be within the season they would adjust.
It would
get the plays.
It would be harder. Guys would fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, I want a situation to where there's almost a no huddle all game.
So then why? Okay, so if we did that, just expand the rosters.
Yeah.
So you're able to keep in a better rotation.
Yeah.
Right. Just expand the
Do
rosters.
That. Yeah. And I think I like challenges. Don't get me wrong, because I like the idea of being able to challenge something. I just think there needs to be a way like each team can have somebody in the booth, like in the media booth or whatever, so they're seeing replays as fast as we're seeing replays at home.
Mm-hmm.
So they could just hit a button effectively and tell the coach to throw the red flag.
Well, how did I just assumed that's how they were doing it.
I don't know 100%.
Right.
Right? Because I know they get feeds and all this stuff, but so many times you're sitting there and you were watching it.
Right.
That they're fumbling around on the field and the coach is like waiting.
But you know what I feel like that is? I think they're seeing it as fast as we're seeing it, but they're seeing other angles. And they're so like, all right. It's like we're at home. We're like, throw the flag, right?
Yeah.
But we're also at home on a couch.
Yeah.
That's his job. And if you're the guy in the booth and you're that assistant coach who's in charge of checking the replay to let the coach know, let the head coach know if he needs to throw the red flag, and you fuck that up, like you see how it is. That could be your job. So that like I could see like if it was me, I know I got 25 seconds to let him. I got 24.5 seconds to let him know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take all of it to be 100% sure before I tell him. So. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just due diligence. Like, I'm not going to let my job get cost.
Take
I could
it every
be wrong,
second they possibly can.
but that's how I would do it.
Yeah.
Like, ooh, crap. Because you see how, like, have you watched on Netflix? I don't know if you've seen, if I even mentioned it to you, Last Chance U?
No.
Last Chance U is a phenomenal Netflix series. Okay. So they've had 3, I think.
Okay.
And what it is they go to the JUCOs. And at the JUCO level, they show like all these high-level JUCOs that recruit all the top Division I athletes that get booted out of school for whatever reason.
Okay.
And so they go to JUCO for a year or two to resurrect their careers. Yeah. But they got to make the grades and they got to do all this stuff. But it shows the way the relationship between the head coach and the assistant coaches, and it's different than high school. This is like it's starting to get pretty serious.
Yeah.
And, man, like, those coaches' jobs are on the line. Like, the assistant coaches' jobs are on the line every game. Hell, in the practices, I see them if they make the wrong mistake in practice. Man, holy crap. Like, you see some coaches get their ass ripped on practice fields and on the sidelines. It's really good. The best part is watching the stories behind the players. Like, these top-level – 5 gold star athletes going to these colleges screwing up. People like Cam Newton went to Blinn. It's guys like that, and he went out of Auburn to Blinn. So it's guys like that, and you see these guys, and some of them make it, most of them don't because it's the NFL, very few. But it's really interesting. It's a reality series, and they show everything.
That's insane. You think possibly a max number of years a player can play in the NFL?
Oh, no, I don't agree with that. I think as long as the guy's productive.
Well, I'm not talking this because productive. I mean, you can be productive for many years. Yeah. But as far as because this is I heard Woodson say this because he's been 8 years out of the NFL, something like that, roughly.
He's been a while.
And he was saying he was defending the new helmet rule and all this kind of stuff because he was like, you young guys don't get it. Because Sherman came out, I guess, and said something against it.
Yeah, he's against it, yeah.
And he was saying, he's like, look, I'll just say 10 years removed from the NFL. You young guys don't get it. You're not waking up every day having to take an hour to get used to light. You're not taking this stuff. You don't have these pains. You don't have the stuff we deal with every single day. You don't understand the repercussions of what you're living right now. He was like, I understand why you have that perspective, but you don't get it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's where I say that is like, maybe there needs to be a limit. I don't know, like
what for health concerns?
Yeah, because CTE and all this other kind of shit that we're dealing with.
That's a real legitimate that's a very legitimate discussion to talk about limiting guys' years in the NFL. But if you limit their years, here's the thing, because the NFL is notorious for not really taking care of players. Right?
Shocking.
It's a
business.
It's a business, and it's a meat grinder.
Right.
And they use you for as long as you're going to make them money, as long as you're productive. And then once you're no longer of use, they don't care. They don't care that you have problems. You know, it would be. I think if they were to implement something like that, they really need to implement some. And I know there is some type of retirement program where once you hit a certain number of years, you're vested and you get so much money every month. I understand that, but there needs to be health and benefits. There needs to be looked after head injuries that can be shown to be because of playing years, and care for these players. Look, it's not that many guys. Honestly, it's really not that many guys. NFL is making billions of dollars. They have the money to provide health care, lifelong health care for these guys. If they hit a certain number of years, 1 or 2 years, no. But say 3 or 4, somewhere in that category, 3 to 5. Somewhere in there, when they hit a spot, for so many games. Well, no, I wouldn't even say games, because you're getting collisions in practice. So many years playing in the NFL, I'm good with that, saying, hey, you can only play 10 years. If 10 years is your max. After your 10th year, you're required to retire. But you have to provide guys health benefits for life. Like, you just have to.
I could see that.
Because these guys they make money when you see it, but if they're not careful with that money, that's only 3-5 years of making money like that. It goes away quick.
And I'm on the fence on that one, the money thing, right? So if you get a guy that comes in and they're making $1 million a year, okay? So really, out of that million, immediately 15% goes to the agent. Okay? So now they're down to $850,000. Okay, when they get taxed on the million, right?
Yep.
Roughly a 50% tax. Okay, so they're getting,
depending on the state.
Yeah, depending on the state, right?
Could be more.
It could be more, but let's just call that. So they're gonna have, out of $1 million paycheck, they're gonna have, on average, in a good case, 400,000 usable dollars out of that million.
Yeah.
Okay, $400,000 a year is great. That's an amazing amount of money. But if you're only going to make that for 6 years, right, and you're moving all the time, and there's travel, there's some awkward expenses associated with the NFL and all these things, assuming you don't get endorsements, because a lot of the guys don't. Okay, so we're not taking the upper echelon.
Right, you're talking about an average player. That's about an average
$1 million
player
players. Yeah, you know, practice squad all the way through the, second and third string guys all the way through, which is most of the NFL. My old thought was, you make enough freaking money, invest it right. You're getting such a unique opportunity and a gift to be able to play a game and make that much money playing a game. It's hard and it's damaging. Also, this was my old view. It's hard on the body. It's tough. You got to study. You got all this travel. You're separated from family. You got all this bullshit you've got to deal with and stuff like that. But you make this money, invest it. And then it started transitioning into the world of social media. So I'm like, you get this money, you get all this exposure, because we know there's value in the social media exposure now. Invest your shit and start a business when you get out. Like, really, get your education and start. Like, you have time every off season, you could complete a degree. Like, stop. That was kind of my deal. I'm like, buy your insurance, buy your catastrophic insurance, buy all these things, protect yourself. You make enough money. And then I was sitting there, I was like, $400,000 with your car. Most of them have a family, and you're separated from your family, so there's additional travel back and forth, because a lot of guys aren't fortunate enough, if you're drafted in Denver, to stay in Denver your whole career. But your family's in Denver, so you're not going to uproot kids out of school and do this kind of stuff. So now you're supporting 2 households. I don't care what you say, there's keeping up with the Joneses with professional
100%
athletes.
And a professional athlete.
You're stuck. If you want to continue and play the political game and keep your position, you got to play the game. So now I'm like, $400,000 doesn't really sound like a whole lot anymore.
Look, $400,000 is not that much money. I mean, it's good money.
Yeah.
And I would love to take $400,000 a year for the next 6 years. Me?
Yeah.
I can retire off that easily and live very well, because I'm not,
Yeah.
Because I'm also mature, simple-minded guy. It's not difficult. That's honestly, that's great money for. That would be great money for 6 years, and then let me retire. I'll live a comfortable life.
Oh yeah.
But I think a big problem in the NFL is you have 18 to 21-year-olds coming into that kind of money from many times from very poor backgrounds.
Yeah.
And there's no understanding or concept of how to take care of money, and Yeah, and then there's we got to look good. We got to have appearance. Got to keep up with the players, the other players who are spending money.
Yep.
You got to have the nice car. You got to have. It's all about the money. It's to the point where the top level players, they're making so much money they'll never spend it all.
Yeah.
Never. But they're still about the number. Like they don't. The number is literally inconsequential to their life.
Right.
Whether it's 50 million or 55 million that season, it won't matter.
Right.
They will not see the difference in how they live ever, but they want that number.
Yeah.
They want the higher number for the appearance. So it's the same thing with the lower level players. They're trying to do the same thing.
Yeah.
To some degree.
Yeah.
And to show that appearance, and that's just it's probably human nature.
Yeah.
And but yeah, these guys they'll burn through all that in 6 years, and they get out and they got nothing. And that's why I just think it's the right thing to do, man.
Yeah.
If your company is profiting as much as it's profiting from these players' health, and yes, they're choosing to do it. This is true. Doesn't mean they're choosing to have concussion-like syndrome for the rest of their life,
right?
And to deal with all the issues from that. They're not choosing that part,
Yeah.
but they do understand there's health concerns. But you understand there's health concerns too, and you're making a lot of money off of it. We'll invest a little back into the players. It's just, I think, just the right thing.
I think it's smart, and you're going to do it as a universal basis.
Absolutely.
So you're not saying we're only going to. I mean, you got to do a couple years. You got to do maybe 3 years or
there's a
whatever.
minimum. I think there's a minimum level of time.
But it's every player,
right?
So it's not like you're going to say, oh, only our starters, or only this, or only that, or kind of,
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Just do it.
Because your practice players are getting beat up by the starters on a regular basis. I don't see what's the problem. Like we expect that. Look, as a regular guy, I expect my job to provide me decent health insurance.
Yeah,
I expect it, and I don't think that these guys they're working a job. Yes, they're in a high profile job, and they're in a high dollar job for the short period of time they're there.
Yeah.
But they deserve to have health insurance and those things too. They deserve it. Just because they're making a lot of money doesn't mean they don't deserve it.
True.
I think.
And this was one of the other scary things that they were talking about, scary for the league. Quarterbacks leaving. They said, I could get the percentages wrong. Okay, so I'm quoting somebody else on this. But close to 90% of all the quality NFL quarterbacks come from better backgrounds, two-parent homes, things of that nature, that those people are going to start to see the risk. And most quarterbacks can play tennis. Most quarterbacks can play baseball. Most quarterbacks can do, like, being pitchers. And a lot of them were. They went from pitcher to being football and doing these things. So they're going to be like, okay, well, I can be a mediocre pitcher in baseball and make the same, if not more, money than some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
That's true. There's good money in baseball. That's so weird.
I don't know how.
There's stupid money in baseball.
Stupid money. The way they do their contracts is very different.
They got stupid money. Like regular guys make a ton of money.
Because I can give you $100 million contract.
Yeah.
But it's for 100 years.
Yeah.
So I'm
but
paying you $1 million
those guys make stupid money.
Stupid money.
Where NFL, not really that. I mean, guys make stupid money on that, but still not like not like MLB.
No.
I don't feel like that. Yeah.
They make more money in basketball. Soccer makes stupid money.
Well, international soccer.
Yeah,
international soccer makes ridiculous money. That's the sport to get into right there.
Yeah. So they were saying that they're like the likelihood that's going to wind up making the NFL hurt is going to be all these quarterbacks leaving.
Yeah, like attrition from just the life factor. I don't know if that's true. I think athletes still, competitors are competitors.
Yes.
And if they're playing that and they're very good at it and they love it, they're just going to keep doing it. I think when you're at that age, you don't think.
You're not thinking that far ahead?
You're not thinking so far ahead that, well, I may have concussion syndrome if I keep playing football. Because when you're 18, 19, 20, you feel bulletproof. Everybody does.
Very true. Very true.
You do. You're like, well, that's not going to happen to me. I know lots of guys that don't have that issue. Because there are a lot of guys that don't have major issues.
I mean, that's my deal. If I didn't have my spinal condition, I'd probably have a broken skull and be dumb as shit right now.
Yeah. Well, so maybe it worked out. I don't know.
I'm just saying, because and I say that because I understand it.
Yeah.
Is that, if you're like, okay, well, do you want the life you have right now, or do you want me to fix your back, go back 10 years, and you can fight more?
Yeah.
Fight.
Yeah.
Fight.
Well, because it's a passion thing. And it's what you enjoy doing. And so the physical consequences don't seem real,
Right.
They're far away, and you feel like it's fine. I'll deal with that later.
Yeah.
I think most people do that.
Yeah.
I think that would be the same thing in the NFL. I think it is right now happening. I think players like, yeah, I know I'm gonna have issues, but I can't stop playing.
Like,
I love this.
Well, like my 7-year-old, I'm like, you can play baseball, you can golf, you can play tennis, you can get into soccer, you can do all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
You can coach the shit out of football. You're not gonna play football.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Well, you know that like Pee Wee football now, I don't like watching.
Oh, I can't.
Even though they don't really, most of the time they just like no, it's like nothing. But every once in a while you'll hear a pop. And the only thing I think now is that's not good.
No,
it's kind of hard to watch
and
now.
you don't. And this comes from when we were still operating Built, like when we still owned Built and had that going on. We had some of the younger boxers come in, 10 years old, 12 years old, and stuff like that. And I'm like, he already has slurred speech. He's 12 and he has slurred speech.
Right.
And I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah,
I
think our understanding of what's happening is going to change.
Yeah.
Well, because like now flag football is pretty huge.
Yeah, they got the league now.
Yeah, they do,
Yeah.
right? And those guys are freaking good, by the way.
Yeah.
You've watched some of that. They make some stupid, ridiculous plays.
It's fun to watch.
I didn't see the pros versus the average Joes, whatever it was.
Oh, I didn't see that part. Yeah,
they had a pros versus average Joes game, but I'm gonna tell you something. I bet those average Joes were in it because they looked incredible.
It was a competitive game.
I bet. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I have no doubt that they were within that level because it's a different. It's
you
totally
take hits
different.
away.
Yeah, everything changes. Yeah. And but yeah, like with kids, like flag football is the way to go.
Yeah.
Like it's great. There's very little. There's no hitting. It happens. Kids are going to tumble over each other.
Same
That's
as in
soccer.
Same as in basketball. Same.
You can't take that. You don't want to take that away.
Right.
But it takes away the helmets and the pads and the popping and the hitting. And I think about because I played through junior high, and like in junior high you start to hit. Like it starts to happen. Like the kids are getting bigger. They're starting to, and man, I remember I took some shots. Like now thinking back, like I got my bell rung several times.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't think about it because you're a kid, so you do that forever. Through your young adulthood.
I think I've probably said this before. When you take every fight I've ever been in, right, from training to sparring to competition to all the way through, I never had my bell rung like I did in football.
Yeah.
Ever. Football, there were multiple times a game where it was like,
yeah,
and I had the tunnel vision, and I'm like, I got 12 seconds. Holy shit. Till the next play. 12 seconds. Hope they don't snap it. I hope I'm good. There it goes. Okay, I'm good. And you just go.
It's crazy.
And it just never had that in fighting.
That's crazy.
Which is just insane.
Yeah. Well, football, with those helmets, so like rugby does it differently. There's no no pads and stuff. And you got to wonder, now you can see some pretty grotesque injuries in rugby.
Not many, though.
Like broken limbs.
Yeah.
You see some nasty broken limbs and stuff like that. I think it's the nature of the game. But I don't hear. I mean, and I'm sure they have their concussion issues and stuff because obviously you don't have to just get hit in the head for concussion.
Right.
But I wonder if that's not maybe what saves football, right? If it's a reduction instead of padding it up more, we pad them up less. We reduce the size of the pads.
I agree 100% with that.
We take away these ginormous helmets and you put them back to just the old leather to prevent cuts and bruises. Type helmets. And let's go back to that, and let's see how guys hit each other.
Yeah,
I bet that safety's not going to come in a million miles an hour to try to take someone's head off with no protection.
Yeah, nope.
I bet he's going to be tackling at the waist and at the body a whole lot more than headhunting.
Well, and transversely, that running back's not going to hit that hole, dropping his head down, going 100 miles an hour either.
Nope.
You totally changed the game.
So you got to protect yourself.
Yeah,
put some responsibility. So I wonder if something like that could happen. If you could see a resurgence, like that's what it's, we talk about that with MMA.
Yeah.
Right. Getting rid of the gloves.
Yeah.
Like honestly, getting rid of the gloves would be the best option.
Yeah.
For injuries, as weird as that sounds, for head injuries.
Yes.
As weird as that sounds.
Oh yeah.
People aren't going to be, throwing their bone at someone's forehead with the same velocity when it's just bare knuckle because they know the option. It's going to break your hand before it breaks their head.
Yeah.
And
I would love to see that, like just a thin neoprene.
Just to prevent
just to protect cuts. Because, obviously a knuckle is, you want some padding is not the right thing. Just some surface to create
protect cuts.
Protect against cuts.
And it would be a more realistic style of fighting.
Yeah.
And
I would love to see that.
It would reduce knockouts, which I'm not sure that that's what they want. But, you know.
Maybe not.
Well, I just don't think people are going to headhunt as much.
Right. They won't headhunt as much.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're still going to see the shin. And you see the kick knockouts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Those aren't going anywhere.
No.
But the punches, you're going to see a lot more technique with body punches. Yeah. You see a lot more grappling. Now that the gloves are off.
You can work better. You can do.
You got your hands.
Man, yeah.
Your hands aren't being in, you know.
Well, and so many times you see against the cage is that somebody get above those gloves.
That's the number one trick in MMA.
Yeah,
is to grab the gloves. When someone's trying to grab a choke, grab that glove and hold it. And you're not supposed to, but guys do it all the time.
Yeah. Well, it's so hard to catch.
Yeah. Every once in a while you see a ref, you know, bop it off. But most of the time they'll grab that glove, or they'll grab a piece of glove. And that glove, or if you try to slide, when you're trying to slide in a choke with that glove, it's hard. That's why you have to do so. Like so really in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if you want a true rear naked choke, it comes in here and you slice the hand behind the head, right?
Yeah.
And squeeze in. That's how you're supposed to do it, right? Brazilians used to teach this shit, right? And the reason here's a reason. Let me tell you a trick. The reason that Brazilians taught that shit, because if you do here, you can reach back and peel that hand off.
Yeah.
It was a Brazilians. This is an old school jiu-jitsu stuff. When jiu-jitsu first started coming to America, Brazilians were like, hey, I can make money teaching jiu-jitsu in America. And they were coming here. What they would do was they would not teach Americans everything exactly right.
No, I know, yeah.
They would teach you enough that you fight a guy on the street, you're gonna whip his ass. But they would put holes in your game, so if you fought another Brazilian, the Brazilians knew the holes, like the little tricks. Well, if I have my hands here, he can reach back and peel my hand off and stop the choke, or other little tiny different little technical differences, right? But in MMA, that's another reason, because you can't slide that glove most of the time. You can't. That's why you'll see them pad the hand on the back of the head, because the padding prevents them from doing it exactly right. Yeah. But in MMA, you can kind of get away with it, finishing it off. Yeah. But little things like that. So like you'll see people do that, and that's one of my pet peeves. And it's one of my pet peeves in jiu-jitsu.
Almost have to in MMA. Almost have to.
Very few guys have the ability to slice it because of the size, but most guys you'll see them. Yeah. You have to turn the hand over, and the tiny bit I trained MMA, for me to finish it, it was you had to. I could not. You know, that pad does not let me get it across.
And I'll challenge anybody. I don't care if you're a street brawler or nothing. Put a pair of MMA gloves on and try to accomplish things in the same way you can.
Oh, it's different. You learn how to use them, but it's still it's an encumbrance. It's there. But MMA is a whole different ballgame. But I would love to see just something to protect the knuckles and let guys go at it. You know, the old school UFC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 way. Where did the gloves come in? Like 3 or 4? I think we saw.
In 2, one of the guys had gloves. One of the boxer guys had
Art Jimerson in 1 or 2.
2, I think.
But he had the left hand gloved up at the boxing glove. And remember what he said about it? I love this line. This is what the funniest thing. This, of course, what happens afterwards is even funnier. And in all respect to him, I believe he just got his purple belt in jiu-jitsu, by the way.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. But 30 years later. But he wore a glove on his left hand. He was left-handed. And he said because he did not want to cause permanent damage to anybody he hit. So he only wore a glove on his left hand to protect the other guy. Yeah. And, of course, he taps to full mount. Yeah. Which is not a submission, guys. No. He tapped to Royce Gracie getting full mount on him. Yeah. He just tapped. He didn't know what the fuck was happening, and he just knew he didn't like it and just tapped. No choke was involved. No nothing. He just tapped because he didn't like someone mounting him. And I remember that was the story behind Art Jimerson's glove, which I thought was hilarious. He didn't want to hurt somebody too bad. He didn't want to kill somebody or something like that. Because he hit so hard.
I would love some of that again, man.
I think it'd be fun.
But I'm thinking just a little neoprene that comes through.
I need to do it. I'm surprised like Japan or something.
Introduce it somewhere.
Somebody's got to do it. You see the night? You see the night MMA they're doing in Russia?
Oh,
Russia does everything, right?
Yeah.
Is that not nuts?
That's fucking crazy.
Where they're going at each other with full arm, because the swords are dulled, so they won't actually penetrate.
Yeah. But they're beating each other with
the shields, are like coming down, crushing each other with the shields. Russia,
serious
man. Russia has the craziest MMA jiu-jitsu stuff ever. Like when they have like the gang fights, MMA gang fights.
Oh, I saw that. I was like, what the fuck is this?
They're just it's basically a street brawl.
Yeah.
MMA style.
And it was like a 20 or 25 foot
Yeah,
by 25 foot ring or some bullshit that they were
crazy.
in.
They'll have like 8 guys on each side, and they just go after someone in the other color.
Yeah.
It's basically a gang fight.
That was the craziest shit I ever saw. I saw one of those just a few months ago. I saw that. Like, what the hell? I'm like, oh. So what do you think is next? Like, what do you think is coming up? You hear people talk lacrosse all the time.
No way.
I don't get it.
No.
Lacrosse is frustrating as shit.
No way.
I just don't see it being.
That's rich people talking.
Yeah.
No way. Lacrosse is not coming up. I think there's a. Believe it or not, I do think soccer has the ability to take hold in the U.S.
Yeah. If they do it right.
Because it's still growing, but internationally, it's still the number one sport.
Yeah, by far.
Nothing is challenging it or has forever. So I think you could see soccer making I don't want to say research. There was a point in the 70s when soccer kind of got big in the U.S. for a moment. You had Pele come over, play with
yeah.
I think it was the New York Cosmos or something like that. And so I think soccer has the potential in the short term.
Yeah.
I don't think UFC gets a whole lot bigger than it is now, to be honest with you. No. I think it's I don't think it's going anywhere, but I think it's just not going to grow a whole lot bigger than it is. Combat sports, jiu-jitsu is so niche. I love jiu-jitsu beyond anything, but I think too many people don't understand it. It's a complicated.
It's hard to
art.
watch if you don't know what you're watching.
It's very involved. There's things I've been training 11 plus years, and I'll look sometimes. I'll be like, I don't know. I love it because I'm learning, but I'll be like, I'm not sure what's happening there. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's going to be something like soccer. That's already so huge internationally that you can transfer stars, and they've tried with MLS. At least they have tried. Where you can start those stars if the money comes in U.S.-wise. If they can develop a league that can compete with the leagues in Europe and in South America
to some level, it
would be Europe.
Yeah,
because
it would have to be Europe.
That's who we'd most identify with. So if we could develop a league that could cross compete, the way they do in Europe, and we had those level of stars here, I could see soccer picking up. Because if you watch soccer in Europe and you follow a little bit, it's really good. Like those guys are phenomenally good.
We need somebody to accept the losses for 2 or 3 years in soccer. Just dump. It needs a money dump.
They've tried that though. Like when they brought over David Beckham, and there was a couple other stars they brought over.
Who owns? One of the Premier League teams owns
LA Galaxy,
the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Which is how they made that work out. Because Beckham's career was really done.
He was at the end, but he was still David Beckham.
He was still
playing on the international team.
Yeah,
he was still David Beckham.
But it was one of those things like they were like, and they kind of cushioned it and worked
they
out.
Paid him a ton of money.
They paid him a boatload of money for that.
I don't remember, but it was a lot. But it's going to have to be bringing some of these international players over.
Yeah.
And with that, I think you could see it, because then you start bringing those international teams over here on a more regular basis to play. So some of the teams, the Barcelonas and whatever.
That's when you're going to get an explosion.
Yeah, because I think when you see those guys play, they really are phenomenal. Yeah. And once it can take hold, it can. And everybody's played soccer growing up now in America.
The game's getting faster. And I'll say this from watching the last World Cup. Okay.
Very exciting.
Like I like watching Bundesliga because they're really
Bundesliga is great.
They just go, man. But the World Cup was having that feel of the Bundesliga this time.
Mm-hmm.
The scores didn't necessarily translate because they score a little bit more in the Bundesliga, but this is but the shots on goals were higher.
Yeah,
like it was just moving and moving.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, they got it now. And people are buying into that no commercials for 45, 50 minutes.
It's better. People are getting used to no commercials, right?
Mm-hmm.
With podcasts and DVRs. No one likes commercials.
Yeah.
So if you got gameplay with no commercials, I mean, that's what everybody would totally prefer.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck the commercials, man. Nobody wants commercials.
Right. And I don't – this is stupid me because I'm in that genre. Do commercials actually sell shit anymore? Do commercials actually do anything more? This is me. This is me and my thinking. I think McDonald's would be better off by giving a podcast like this money and having us with the freaking McDonald's here and eating this and maybe mentioning it, maybe not, but having it flow into a conversation because people are seeing it that way, as opposed to blasting some 60-second commercial.
Yeah, I think we've outgrown commercials. I think we've been so saturated with commercial bullshit since TV's been invented.
Yeah.
We know it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
And you just don't give a shit. Like you're like, I like what I like. I know what I like.
Yeah.
Commercials on social media are way more effective, honestly, if you think about it, because you'll see that pop up and you're like, I haven't seen that before. Let me check it out. Because people are purchasing everything online.
It's all that way.
Our world is online.
Yeah.
And or by word of mouth.
My Tide Pads.
Yeah.
3 people messaged me when I put that up to the first time.
Right?
Hey, dude, where'd you get those? Where'd you get? They're like, I like that. They're targeted. They're curved. This.
Yeah.
I'm like, here's the link.
Yeah.
Totally unexpected.
I don't even know how. I don't even remember the last time I watched a program with commercials.
Yeah.
I don't sit down and watch TV. It's recorded. It's either DVR or Netflix or Prime, whatever, or YouTube.
Yeah.
That's where I'm watching shit. So I'm not getting commercials. Like I rarely watch commercials. In fact, every once in a while I'll watch a commercial and I'll laugh if it was a good one.
Yeah.
And I like the commercial. It's funny. But I don't go, but I want to buy the product.
But even in the game, like the game's on. We're watching live.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times I like to get behind so you zip through the commercials.
Yeah.
But coming on, it's like commercial break.
Yes. Let's see what's
this.
You got fantasy football going on. You're checking other games, checking stats,
doing this
stuff that you thought about. I'm gonna look this up real quick.
Yep.
Texting.
Yeah.
Nobody's watching commercials. Commercials are a huge waste of money.
Yeah.
I think they are. I can't. I don't know what the stats are. I don't know what the analytics are of how they can connect their rise in products purchased based on commercial placement. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I can't imagine it's good.
In big cities, I'll say in big cities, it's toast.
Yeah.
Maybe in rural areas or something,
I guess. I don't know. Commercials seem, that's a really good point. I think commercials are pretty much.
Get those motherfuckers out of here.
Yeah. And you're right. With soccer, where it's just 90 minutes of play. And then you got your halftime break.
Yeah.
And that's when the commercials pop in. And of course, what you see, of course, is all the advertisements are along the field, right?
Yeah.
And,
And like that, I'm cool with that. Brand the field.
Well, they do that. They do that in all these other. They do that in
jerseys,
the NFL.
Yeah.
They do that in the NBA. They do that in Major League Baseball, Major League.
Yeah.
You see everything branded around the field already.
And and some people are all pissy about this stuff. Like I'm totally. If the result is taking away commercials, I'm cool with it not being the Houston Rockets, with it being the Toyota Rockets or whatever the shit.
Ooh, I don't like that.
I'm totally fine with it. Take it away.
I think it's a terrible idea.
Look at you.
I can't, because you know what? Because so one, that's how you relate to the team, right? Because it's for normal people, it's usually where you're from.
Yeah.
You have some association with that. Yeah. That city, or state. You have an association. That's why you identify with that team.
Yeah.
Man, if you did Toyota Rockets, it just takes it away because some of it's civic pride. It's my team.
Yeah,
it's my
city.
city.
There's a little bit of that, but this is the reality. It's like, how many teams are really teams for a long enough period of time to do it?
Well, yeah, but people don't cheer for players. They do, but they cheer for teams.
Okay.
I believe. Yeah. I believe people cheer for teams.
Okay.
Because I see players come and go off my teams. I cheer for that team. I may have an affection for that player because of whatever from time. And when I see them go to another team, I may hope they do well, as long as it's not against my team. But even then, I may not be angry about it. It depends on how they left the team. Yeah. But I never cheer for just a player. It's always basketball has more of that. People follow a player like LeBron.
Well, and it's different than football because you see them.
Yes.
There's less guys on the court.
Yes.
You see them all the time. You see emotion. You see the frustration. You see the joy. Like you see it. So that makes sense.
But I do think that it's still the minority. I think most people follow their team.
Okay.
And they stick with their team.
So you think that city or state attached to it is super important?
Yeah. I just I can't agree with that one.
Look at y'all. No.
Just disagree.
And that's because it's different for me because I came up and I'll take football. We're picking up football the whole time. Until Steph, I just loved the shit out of football. I'm like, what's the best game? Mm-hmm. That's what I want to watch. And if it got out of hand, I'm like, what's the next best game? That's what I want to watch. And I want to watch how they scheme. I want to watch how they do this. I want to watch matchups. I want to watch, and so that was always my thing. So I never had a team.
Yeah.
So I didn't give a shit. Like,
But then you adopted your wife's team. It's okay.
What are you gonna do, man?
I'm not hating on it. It's a smart.
I'm just saying. Luckily, it was the Patriots and not the Browns.
Ooh, you dodged a bullet.
That's all I'm saying. Is it?
That'd be some long Sundays.
Oh,
you had some horrible Sundays. Could you imagine? Whew.
Oh, and my team in the Browns.
Could you imagine?
You gotta go. Can't do it.
Cleveland. But who's from Cleveland anyway? So other than Stipe Miocic, who's from Cleveland?
Yeah.
And
is
what's
he really
his name?
from
Drew?
Cleveland?
And Drew, what's his name? Drew Carey.
Drew Carey, yeah.
Yeah, Drew Carey and Stipe Miocic. That's who represents
That's
Cleveland.
Yeah.
I guess
I'm
LeBron.
cool with that.
But he got smart and he bailed and went to Los Angeles.
Thank you. Went to Miami and Los
Yeah,
Angeles.
picked a good spot.
Yeah,
LA's probably a better spot.
I think so.
But no, I don't know, man. I think we'll see, man. I think it's about teams.
Yeah.
I've always my Cowboys. I'm excited now that we're talking about football, even though we're kind of dogging it a little bit.
Well, I mean, I'm not dogging. I mean, still I enjoy it, but it's
Yeah.
like there's some things going on in football that I think they
I
better
think it's
watch
going to
out.
be an interesting season. I think
Yeah.
this whole the kneeling thing. Let's go see what happens with that. I think we're getting some pushback from some of the players.
Yeah.
So
It's just getting silly.
well, it's been silly.
This was something this was one of the things this guy said, okay? Because he destroys Kaepernick and the whole thing. He said this. I got a
On
kneeling thing.
The
on the
Ben
kneeling.
Shapiro show.
Yeah. He says Kaepernick kneeling for those games and for what his stated cause was the most ridiculous, idiotic thing somebody could ever do because of who was president and who was the attorney general.
Mm-hmm.
And before he ever knelt for any game, they already had a policy in place that was actually happening, that any suspect shooting was being investigated on a federal level.
Mm-hmm.
Even at the local level shooting, the federal government was investigating any shooting that was in question.
Mm-hmm.
So why was he kneeling? Like, what else could the government do? Was his argument. What else could the government do other than institute these policies to to investigate all of these shootings?
Kaepernick was kneeling because he was a neo-Marxist, spoiled brat,
which we know now,
who was wanting attention.
Right.
That's why he was kneeling.
Right.
And to try to say any other reason that he had some wholesome reason is a lie. And you can convince yourself that that's what it was for, because maybe you in your heart believe it's a legitimate cause, but that's not why he was doing it.
No.
You
don't try to kneel for a cause and wear the pig and bacon socks. Right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
we started on
you
that
don't
one.
like. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? Like, those two cannot coexist.
Well, it shows what it truly is, and it's just hate of police.
Yeah,
we just hate police officers.
Yeah. And why? They protect him on the field. They protect him when he leaves. They keep people from throwing shit at him when he has a bad game.
I still don't know, because there's this strange myth that somehow is accepted as reality. The police are out there shooting minorities and beating minorities, free will, and want to do it, and are looking to do it on a regular basis.
Statistically, I have to say this, and I got another question. Statistically speaking, you have a better chance of walking outside and being killed by a hornet sting than you do from simply being shot by a police officer.
Yes, you do.
And not killed by a police officer, shot. You have a better chance of dying from a hornet sting outside of your house than you do from just being shot at by a police officer.
It's look, there are issues that have happened in policing in our history. They're not happening now. Like, it's an anomaly.
Right.
If there's a bad police shooting, it's an anomaly. It's an anomaly. It happens because of sheer numbers.
Right.
But it's so rare. The numbers, the statistics are so incredibly rare. Now the problem is, legitimate police shootings are being reported as illegitimate shootings when they're not. False information is being put out, and these officers are being labeled as racist, and they're portraying the shooting with things that are not facts, with not facts that occurred, and trying to make it look like something that it's not. Yeah. And then that's reported, and then it's accepted. Like Randy Moss, when he I don't know if we ever got a chance to talk about this, the tie, and he brought up all those names like Trayvon Martin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. None of those were legit.
Right.
As far as none of those were legitimate victims.
Right.
I think there might have been one that had a potential to be a legitimate.
Trayvon Martin's debatable.
I don't think it's debatable. One, it's not a cop.
Well, yeah,
it's not a cop. It was between him and another citizen.
But it being a potentially emotional or race-driven assault, the shooting happened in the assault. All of that is debatable. I've watched the fuck.
It is debatable.
Yeah.
But it had nothing to do with police.
No.
Police. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Without getting all into that debate, if you're beating a dude's head into the concrete, you have the ability to cause him serious bodily injury or death.
Right.
If he's carrying a gun legally, which I believe he was carrying it legally.
Yeah.
If I remember right, he has a right to shoot you if you don't stop.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just facts. Now,
Yeah.
does that mean I'm taking I can't remember the other guy's name anymore. The other guy's side. I'm not taking his side.
No.
I don't know what he was doing then. I would never advise a civilian to act in that manner, to put themselves in danger and to put themselves in a situation where that happens.
Right.
But because that's for police to handle.
Yes.
But that being said, doesn't give Trayvon Martin a right to attack the guy and get on top of him and beat his ass.
Right.
Yeah, we all like to say, oh, I'd beat his ass. You know what? In real life, let's talk about real life. Stop talking like you would really do that.
Right.
Because 95% of you guys would never do that.
Right.
Number one. And number two, if a police officer did that, you would be all over that police officer's ass, even though you're going to claim that that's what you would do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's take a step back and let's honestly look at every situation. No one wants to do that, though.
No.
So, but yeah, the other names on the list, Michael Brown, some of these other guys. Like, the hands up, don't shoot.
Yeah.
That was on his time. We know it's a lie. We know that officer was the Department of Justice cleared him.
Yeah.
Saying he was cleared, like legitimate shooting.
Like absolutely.
Eric Holder's he cleared him. And that guy hated cops as much as anybody.
Yep.
Come on.
Yeah,
but they still purport the lie.
Yeah.
Which in my mind completely it completely undermines anything you're trying to do.
Yeah.
If you're going to use things that you know are a lie to try to, I don't care if you say, well, it's for a good cause. No, you're using a lie. If you have to use a lie, there's something wrong with your cause.
Right.
Because if you really have a legitimate cause, you don't need to use a lie.
Right.
There should be hundreds of examples of what you're talking about, but there's not. You can't find hundreds of examples of even fake ones.
Right.
That's how little there are, but we still push it out there. Very frustrating. Obviously, you've heard me talk about this.
No. Because it's close to
about it.
you, and it's so obviously, but it's just one of those that like you said, I'll get a ton of shit for this. When someone says, "Oh, blah blah blah, damn cop this," or blah blah blah, racist cop this, blah blah blah, I instantly don't hear anything else they say.
Yeah.
It's instantly just the switch is thrown off. I don't care. Like, put it away. Was somebody hurt, harmed, or whatever? If that's the case, I may go look at the investigation on it. I'm like, oh, there's clearly not information to know. Next. Oh, well, here's the 10-second clip of where the trigger was pulled. No, motherfucker. Give me the 8 minutes before that. Like, stop with all this bullshit. Give me the 8 minutes before that. Give me this stuff. Like, just stop with the... And it's just so consistently. Here's this teeny tiny clip from this that makes it look like something bad happened. And that gets blasted everywhere. And I'm like, stop. So I do. I don't... I hear it and I'm like, it's out. Yeah. Okay. So we got a couple minutes.
Oh, yes, dude.
The esports.
Esports,
electronic sports, gaming sports,
gaming,
the tournaments and all this kind of shit. So that's freaking exploding. There was a shooting this weekend.
I was about to say, it's kind of coincidental. There was a shooting at esports
in
gaming,
Florida. Jacksonville,
Florida.
I think.
Jacksonville, Florida.
I think it was Jacksonville.
Yeah.
At the Madden 19 tournament.
Yeah.
And
Which
it was
a big deal.
It's a big tournament. It was a play-in tournament. So it was a tournament to qualify. It was a qualifying tournament for a bigger one, whatever that circuit is. I don't know that. The dude that was shooting people was pissed because he lost.
Yeah. I think there was some mental illness involved. I saw a blurb, and I think it's going to come out.
Yeah, I think so too. But
almost all of these active shooters, or these mass shooters, almost every time there's mental illness involved.
Yeah.
And I think it's already been shown that there's been a history of mental illness.
Yeah.
But esports, it's an interesting. There's a lot of money in that.
It's a lot
for these
of
for
money,
these
man.
for these kids. These kids are sponsored. Like at
Yeah.
a young age, they have sponsorships from these different, I guess, gaming companies.
Well,
or
because they play
whatever.
on Twitch.
Yeah.
Okay. There's other platforms. I'm just saying Twitch.
Yeah,
Cause
Twitch
it's,
is where a lot of money's at.
so
too.
they get on and there's a camera on them, which is small on the screen, and then the majority of the screen is their gameplay. They're playing a game on screen, and people are paying to watch that. And in the process, they give them like tips and awards,
make a
and
lot
they're
of money.
paying this stuff and all these things. They're kids that are millionaires, legit millionaires from playing games on Twitch.
It's crazy.
That didn't count if they enter tournaments and win tournaments and sponsorships and all this other shit. I'm like,
Lots of money.
what?
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Holy fuck!
It's crazy. It's crazy. I found this out like a year ago.
It's insane. It's insane.
Not just gamers. I mean, like, there's this whole social media thing where.
Oh,
where, yeah. But yeah, the game. But I remember seeing a few years ago there was a Madden 2002 whatever game was out. Madden game was out. Tournament, and they had it on ESPN, and they showed the finals, and they showed I was like, oh my god, like it's the first time I realized how big it was, and like there was a huge purse. I don't remember what it was, but it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, you're winning that much money for winning a tournament of playing Madden. Like I used to play Madden all the time. It's fun.
Dude,
like
insane.
how do you? It's so crazy that you can win money playing that. But yeah, it's gotten to the point of sponsorships. Did you think that it would ever become to the point where people are watching that on?
That I don't understand. Because this is stuff
I don't
like,
want to watch people play video games.
No, like
I want to play.
I'll say this. I will watch segments of some things like that, not from Twitch, obviously, but just like on YouTube and stuff like that, because I'm trying to help Coy with his games. So I'm like, I don't have time to sit here and screw with it. So just I Google it up and we watch a little video, and I'm like, hey, this is what this means. This is how you go through it. Right. Because I don't want to, fuck with the game too much, right? So I've watched it in that regard, where I've watched whatever playthroughs or actual gameplay on YouTube. So that I've watched, and there's a commentator, like you hear the guy talking. So it's similar to Twitch, you just don't see the guy. Right. And some of them you do, so maybe it is a Twitch that's just put onto YouTube. But because those can be helpful. But like people who actually watch the whole thing, like, oh, Johnny B. Good's playing, they go run and get on their phone or their device or whatever, and they watch this dude play for hours, and then they pay him.
It's crazy. Yeah, my son, he's a little bit into it. Not a lot.
I just can't understand it. Like I don't get it.
I don't either, because I know if I'm playing a video game and you're playing with a group of people and it's like not your turn to play, like I want to play. Like it's not that exciting to watch them play. I'm like, when's it my turn?
Yeah,
that's
like,
what I want to play.
Exactly.
But man, I don't know. It's a whole new generation growing up. They're growing up in a whole. Like, we didn't grow up with this, right? Like we had like Atari.
Yeah, dude, Atari and Commodore and that kind of shit. Yeah,
Commodore 64, 128, whatever. Yeah, we played games, simple games. No one wanted to watch anybody play games. But now it's at such a level where people are playing online against each other across the world on their telephones, on their gaming systems, which are incredible. And it's just they're growing up in a whole new environment. So for this generation, I guess it makes sense when you grow up your whole life playing these incredible video games, which we didn't have. Yeah. And side note, I took my son to whatever main event. Yeah. They have all those really nice, cool ass arcade, and we were playing Pac-Man and Galaga and stuff like that. And actually, I was beating him in those games. Like the old me was coming back, and I was like, man, I remember this. Oh man, Pac-Man's fun. I forgot how fun Pac-Man is, but. So the old games are still there. Like my son will play them, and actually my daughter used to like the older games too. Like she'd make me borrow you can buy the old games for your consoles.
You get the little thing and it goes,
Yeah, but
dude, those are fun.
But Dan, my son, he's gotten on the Twitch, and not the Twitch. I feel like an old guy the way I said that, like the Facebook. He's got on Twitch, the Facebook, my face. But my face. But he's gotten on that stuff, and he's gotten into it. I know he's thinking about starting his own YouTube channel of playing and Twitch and stuff, because he's very good at a lot of these games. And I said, go for it, man. If you get rich, take me along for the ride with you.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I just can't. I can't. I'm like, if I'm gonna pay some person the price of a game, just Go buy the game, and I'll play the game.
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
do I
for
need
sure, for sure, right?
Like,
I don't know,
I
but
don't know,
it's
dude.
it's different. It's a different generation. You think did you see that movie Ready Player One?
I didn't. Yeah.
It's a really good movie, and I think it's actually a very accurate depiction of what our future could look like. Because games
Augmented
are getting
realities and things that
basically,
nature.
our we're already getting there. Like
Yeah.
if you do virtual reality now, it's pretty incredible.
It's pretty cool.
And the bodysuits are already coming out where you can feel everything, and that's kind of where it's at. Say 30 years from now,
Okay.
where we could be 30 years from now, maybe. And that's basically what it is. You put on a headset, you got a bodysuit, and you're in another world, and you can't tell the difference.
Crazy.
But you can create your own avatar, so you are your avatar.
Yeah.
You are this character, and you jump into different games that you want to play, and you build credits and all this stuff, and you don't want to lose it. And of course, there's this whole thing where if this maker created a situation where if you can find all these clues, you could win like this enormous prize. And 100%, I think we're headed there. Like I think there's no question, 30, 40 years from now. But it was weird, like and it made sense to me in some way. There are people who that's all they care about. That's all they want to do. So that's all they're trying to do all day long. Yeah, they plug themselves into the Matrix, and that's where they are. And they don't unplug unless they have to.
That's insane.
I think we're headed there, 100%. But it also talks about the corporatism involvement. It was a surprisingly really good movie. I highly recommend watching that movie.
That's crazy.
I think it's a glimpse of what we're gonna experience. I think in our lifetimes.
Yeah. Now I don't have the budget for this, but if I did, I would find a gaming company who was making games, and then if I had products, and I would buy advertising spots within the game.
Ooh.
And I don't know if that happens.
I bet you it does.
Because I know like the ones that he has, there's not. It's all like fake stuff. Like there's never anything real.
I just don't have time for playing games anymore. I can't imagine it's not. You know what's funny? Like some of these shooter games.
Yeah.
My son knows way more about farms than I do. Well, names of farms and different accessories. Yeah. And the whatever he'll name it, and I'm looking at him like, how do you know what that is? And he's like, because he's playing whatever game name it, and Battlefield or whatever. And they're going through they get the options of all these different options, and I'm like, well, let me show you what I really have. And I was like, in a couple more years, I'm gonna take you and you can shoot the real thing.
See the real.
Yeah, you can shoot the real thing with me.
Yeah,
I'll show you some of my toys. And it's kind of interesting. I do think we're headed there. You should definitely check that movie out. I think you really enjoy it.
Yeah, well, it's on the I think it's on Netflix now.
It's on like you can rent it off your
or it's on
Uverse, Comcast, whatever you got.
Whatever
It's on there. I rented it maybe a month ago.
The stupid random because commercials. So the PlayStation View, the TV for PlayStation, right? It doesn't. You can fast forward and you can do all that stuff on your DVR, right? Mm-hmm. But it has the deal to where it's 30 seconds. So most commercial breaks are 3 minutes.
But each commercial is about 30 seconds.
Right. So literally, I could go like a commercial break starts, and I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, boom,
boom,
and I'm already there. There's no like try to stop it at the right time or any of that kind of crap. It's like
that's really cool.
Advancements.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Do you have Comcast?
I have Uverse.
And
I have Xbox.
You might be use Uverse. Either Uverse or Xfinity, one of the two. You can just say, you hold the thing down, your mic, say fast forward 3 minutes.
I think it's Xfinity, because this is what my brother has. He has the talk. I don't have the talk on mine.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to upgrade.
I think it's just a remote upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to call him because I'm paying a lot of money for that.
Dude, look at the other ones. Sling, PlayStation.
I know. I just got to make sure I can watch football.
PlayStation, for our research, PlayStation was the best.
So you can still watch regular season football on it?
Yeah, all of that. All your regular channels are on it. NFL Network, all of those Longhorn Channel.
And is that on your PlayStation console?
Either or. Like
we run it through
we run it through on the console.
Who provides your internet?
Comcast.
And so you just pay for the internet.
Yep.
Get the PlayStation console, and then through your PlayStation, it gives you all your local channels and all that stuff.
Yeah, all of it. And then there's on the console. I learned this during the Little League World Series. ESPN 3 is not on it, but you just get the ESPN app on the smartphone, or on the smart TV or your deal, and you can watch it there. It still counts in your deal. It still counts as part of your subscription, but just doesn't show up on the main thing. So it's one extra click.
I've got to make a change. I'm sick of this bill.
Dude, yeah.
To be honest with you.
I'll show you, man. $45 a month.
Yeah, that would be way better.
Everything.
That would be so much better.
Everything. Shit. And what's your phone? Verizon or?
Yeah, Verizon.
So you get Netflix free, asshole.
Yeah, I know.
So
And
free
I get
Netflix.
NFL, I get free NFL games.
Yeah,
too.
so you
But
get
it's
it
only
with
local. It only plays because I'm in Houston.
Yeah, but you don't need that because you get the deal. But free Netflix.
Yeah.
So you don't have that $8 or $10 a month or
Yeah.
whatever, and $45 for a PlayStation. You don't need a PlayStation console for it. You just need an adapter like the Fire Stick TV or the.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you.
You need to teach me.
Yeah. So everybody just got a little way to save money there.
Yes.
Get away from the freaking cable networks and Dish and all those bullshit.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Things, man. Yeah. Blah. Thank you, everybody.
Later, guys.
I got a lot coming up. We got a lot coming up. I'll tell you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's all
Sweet.
good stuff, man. Peace. Thank you, everybody. And then